All right. Okay, Carl, tell us what we're doing today. I don't even know.
Yeah, so at the moment, right now, I'm pretty sure it's still live. I'll quickly sort of give us a check. But Alex Hormozi is streaming live his book launch, and they are still live as we speak. And he's actually helping businesses right now on a call with literally any sort of problems or issues they're facing with scaling, getting leads, and he's doing this all kind of as like a full free event. You get full access to him. You can just make calls like to get the information that you need.
Is this muted for the audience or is this on?
No, this is on at the
Hold on. People
moment.
can't understand what we're doing if we're doing two things at once, Carl. We got to do, we either talking or we're watching the live. I feel like, do you think that's true? Because I don't think we can like watch the live and talk at the same time.
Oh, no. I literally just wanted to check that it was still on.
Still on, okay.
Because, yeah, it's still live at the moment.
All right.
And yeah, just to give context as well for one of the major points of what's happened is that this sort of book launch, there for the non-fiction, the only people who have managed to get massive amounts of books sold within a 24-hour period are they were basically all politicians. And the number one person, so it was like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, all just politicians that literally they didn't even write their own books. Like they literally just have someone else write it, and then they just tell them what was kind of going on with a bit of research.
Yeah, well.
And the top person was Prince Harry. Prince Harry, I'm pretty sure the record was I think he sold 1.3 million books. Wow. Yeah, 1.3 million books just within a 24-hour period. And the crazy thing is, and this is for non-fiction, right? And the best in like fiction, which is just all the genres encompassing, was actually, J.K. Rowling. So J.K. Rowling for fiction, she has all the like top 7 for like releases within a 24-hour period for most sales of a book. And it's just all the Harry Potter series, just from literally like 1 to bloody, I think like 7 or like, 8. And so, yeah, and it's crazy because Alex Hormozi, even with his non-fiction book, he's managed to get into 4th place, even in fiction, and he's surpassed non-fiction's Prince Harry's book, by like 1.5 million sales, and there's still 15 hours, like left, I guess, probably like in this day from when the kind of book launched. Yeah, because I'm not sure, like, because I guess it's probably to the American time, but I guess you could maybe judge it from our time as well, that it's probably going to be running because it's running from 2 a.m. this morning here, and they've still got like bloody 15 hours to get more sales, if you know what I mean.
I do.
And so he's going to absolutely blow this out of the water. And he's already been given...
Pull it up on the screen so we can see what's going on.
Yeah, and he's already been given the actual... because he had the full... whatchamacallit? The world record like committee.
Oh, the Guinness...
Yeah, the Guinness World Record Committee.
Good.
Like they were actually there, which is insane.
Get you one of those plaques that everyone holds up.
Yeah.
Those plaques look sick. Okay, so this is him here.
It's absolutely insane.
So let's hear a little bit of this. So
15 to 30 mil.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you're way underpriced. I think you got to be looking at 1% acquisition fees or more.
This is such niche stuff.
So I would charge exactly what we're charging and charge an acquisition
fee. It's very like online e-commerce.
I'd be like, we're $24,000 a year, paid annually upfront, and we get
1%
of the and the way you write the contract, by the way, is you do it on the enterprise value, not on the cash value of the deal. So the way that it's going to work is they'll do like,
and that's the
let's say it's a $10 million deal.
When you're talking, I can't do things at once.
Yeah,
I don't, because when you're listening to it, if there's 2 voices talking at the same time on a pod, you can't understand what's going on. So I'm just cautious for the listeners, and I want them to hear what you're saying.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, the big one is that the reason why he's managed to collate such almost like a collage and just an absolutely like massive amount of information is due to the fact that he's now with acquisition.com, his main sort of business. It's a private equity company that he invests in companies and helps them scale. And it was because of the formula that he has created, which is technically this Money Models book. This is the book that kind of shows you how, as a business owner, because his first was offers, then leads, now it's Money Models. And
so what's a money model?
So the money model is basically a system that you can implement into the business, and it basically ensures that when people are signed up and they first could have like make their first sort of purchase within your business,
all right,
a money model is how you basically get them to spend the most money in the least amount of time like possible, by structuring a whole bunch of different types of offers, because it's not just one grand slam offer or your main offer for a business. It's basically how you have a whole sort of continual like progression of particular offers to give your customers the most amount of value that you can, but then also make the most like amount of money so that you can spend more to acquire more customers. And that's how, like, because otherwise, if you don't have the right money model, you're basically going to be like most businesses where you're pretty much permanently breaking even. And if you don't then adjust your prices to inflation, like each year, then you're going to be in the red and you're just going to be going straight down, and you're not going to survive. And that's how he's kind of positioned this book. It's basically the antidote almost to making sure that you will never kind of go out of business, because you strategically make sure that the way that you're sort of structuring sort of your offers in your sort of business with your money models, it'll ensure that you're like able to like actually stay afloat, even if, because you can actually have the perfect main offer, you can have the perfect client acquisition system, but if your money model isn't right and it's not the one for your business, you could still go out of business and your business will fail. You could have everything right, but this money model changes everything.
What's an example for the people at home of a money model in the real world? Like, can you give a genuine business example just to illustrate it?
Yeah. So basically the way that this sort of works is that from probably the easiest kind of example is for like a gym, right? So typically gyms have very entry level offers of where they'll have their membership, right? But no gym makes money from a membership. And that's the reason why a lot of the gym businesses, like, they can kind of go out of business or they're just not making enough. And it's because they rely almost a lot on their memberships to make bank and actually keep the business afloat. But the membership is tiny, and the real money making sort of machine that is a gym is when you actually offer like 6-week challenges and stuff, and you get like a $600 fee that the customer pays directly, and that literally would pay for almost like 15 people's gym memberships, if you know, for a whole year.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Actually.
And so the way that the money models work, instead of kind of just having, you know, like a very simple SLO kind of campaign where it's like a very surface level free offer, so you get like a free week trial, then you go into the membership once that's finished. The way that this money models work is that you'll have some like perfect kind of like offer to get them in, and then once they kind of pay for this first kind of like big membership for their goals, maybe say it's like $90, the way that it works is they'll pay that $90, and then you'll find out like during this little like kind of 20-day period that they're on for this $90 offer, you'll find out what their goals are, and then you'll tell them at the end of that sort of period, you'll then sort of say, oh, well, you've sort of signed up for this, but in order to actually hit your goals, we already know that you're going to have to do this for an extended period of time and more consistently. And because they've already spent sort of money for the first offer, it's very easy and much easier to transition to them to help them accomplish their goals by then sort of saying, then you basically have an upsell to this $500 program for maybe 6 weeks. And that's kind of how these money models work. And there's like 4 different types. And like the major one is pretty much it's like a continuous system of making sure that you have like reoccurring revenue, and that's probably like the
like
most
subscription models.
That's probably the most powerful kind of one. All of the other ones are like for different stages along the sales cycle, where like that first one is kind of at the beginning, and then the reoccurring one is typically right at the end, because that's how, when you kind of finish the process and you've kind of locked them in, and then they'll just stay depending on how good your delivery is and all that, and delivering on kind of like your main sort of like offers or any other bonuses that you've attached to that.
No, it kind of like, it makes me think of this podcast a little bit, because, you know, we obviously don't have ads on this show because we're super young in the podcast game, and no one would want to run ads on a show that gets like 100 views a show. So, but, you know, at some stage, if we keep doing this, that might be a possibility. But I don't know if that feels like the right thing to do. Like, it feels nice having no ads, having authentic conversation, no breaks when you're listening to it. Because ads, like, they create a break in the conversation for a minute, and then you're like, they start talking again. You're like, what were they talking about? I forgot, you know, half the stuff they were saying, what point they were on, like half the story they were telling, etc. Because the ad gets in the way. So a subscription service, if we could provide some sort of value on top of the podcast, I don't know what that would be. It would have to be probably much better content than what we're doing now, but it'll level up and it'll get better. But if we could do that instead of running ads, we could keep the show authentic and real, you know? So I think, and a subscription model is really powerful. Like, people can just pay like even just $1 or $2 subscriptions on like Patreon a week, a month, whatever it is, just to support a show. And if enough people get around it, it'll replace the need for us to have ads potentially. Right?
Exactly.
But you know, this is potentially years down the track. You know what I mean?
And that's the interesting thing as well, because when it comes to all the stuff like that as well, you can kind of link like particular things, because you could even link like, just because obviously you're very competent and very knowledgeable in many things, and one thing that you're especially in that realm is obviously like MMA, and lots of people want to teach like and sort of learn like MMA, and you could almost like have like something that's linked to this podcast as like a school community, which is linked to what Alex Hormozi does, because he's like a 50% owner in school, and it's basically a community where you would teach MMA, the thing that you love, and the entire, and this is the reason why school is so powerful now, because it's an online community-based platform, and the way it works is Alex Hormozi, with all the work that he's done, he's managed to turn school into everything he's kind of learned in business, so that when you have a school community, you don't actually have to really understand business. The school platform basically does it for you, because school in of it itself is its own payment processor.
Yeah.
And it's also its own kind of like marketing like center as well. And it also shows you every stat that's the most important for just business in general, for like kind of online communities or whatever you're delivering. And so it basically gives you the cheat code to like making it in business, pretty much, because it gives you all like the retention analytics, all of like the your front end offers that you put sort of through school, the ads that you run through school. It tells you literally everything. It tells you all the people, and this is almost similar to another app that's have you heard of WAP?
Nah.
But what was recently purchased?
Not Whoop.
No,
What? Okay.
no, it's what. So it's one
like
less
the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj song or whatever. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So it's WHOP.
Okay.
And so it is pretty much like the spelling of Whoop, just one less O.
Yeah.
But it is very similar almost to School, but an Iman Ghazi, someone who you might have heard of.
These guys are all in the same category of
it's
person.
kind of
and I don't know how I necessarily feel about them. Like Hormozi always wears the nose tape or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's all like it looks so silly, I reckon. Like I know maybe it opens up your nose like 5-10%, but bro, if it bothers you that much, just get the surgery, you know what I mean? Like
no, part of his brand.
That's what I've been telling. They're part of his brand. He's like, I know, that's the thing. Like these people have such a like that they're brand people and they are savvy, smart business people and they do help a lot of people achieve things like that. Like I'm sure a lot of people have started fitness businesses and gyms based on the back of this guy's knowledge. You know, Iman Ghazi, what's his name? Yeah, people like him as well. Like I'm sure there's help in there, but I'm sure these guys make a lot of money too. Like he sold 2.7 million books. Like
and that's the funny thing, right? He's made that much money with these books, and he literally almost sells them for free.
How does that work?
Like people for a lot of these books, a lot of them are actually just, especially because with this book, this is like the only book that was a little bit more expensive. So it's literally just mostly shipping, and then it's like a tiny little bit on top.
Okay.
And so you can get the book for like $30. But his other books, he only wanted to prove the point for the fact that the systems in this book work so well, because this is money models about how to make money and make more and make it more quickly for the front end office. So he literally, for every single book he's done, he's showed how like the contents in the book already work, because everything in life has to be proof over promise, because you can over promise, over deliver, or under deliver. But if you just have proof, that will sell anyone. You could literally, if you wanted to sell someone, if you just came in sort of being like, oh yeah, promising the world, oh yeah, our stuff's the best, you know, we've got all this like flashy sort of stuff, like trying to like show it. But if you just came in, you could get the same result of being able to sell an entire room of people just coming in, like just sit down on like literally you're at the front of like a room of 100 people. You could sell all 100 people just by going, oh yeah, here's some results from our previous 50,000 clients that we've just had. And you just flick through about like 400 slides of all the fantastic results that you've got for all the people, and then the audience as well is just like, well, like how could it not work for me, pretty much. Like and at the end of the day, that's the reason why it's such an amazing quote from Alex Hormozi, sort of just being like, yeah, just proof over promise. Like you want to, like, it's the same thing as the 5-star reviews. Like you want to just have the reviews, you want to have the client testimonials, and I'm sure you could get more sales by and get good conversions by having, you know, great promises and great bonuses. But at the end of the day, you just want that trust with your brand, and you want to just be able to show realistically that everything that you're giving, all the value you're giving, it really works. And that's one of the things of the value equation. It's like time to result, and then it's also like the perceived likelihood of achievement, and then pretty much then just the price to value discrepancy. And then all this formula combines in order to make the value equation of how much value you can actually give to people. Because this is how Amazon broke the game, where they pretty much were able to send stuff at mass, and it would arrive so quickly that it's the same thing of reason why Netflix obviously destroyed all of the DVD places, because it's instant. It's like you get the value and it's instantly, you just click on it, browse around, done. Whereas you'd have to go down to the store, hop in the car, burn fuel, buddy, go down there, browse around. Oh, what do they have? And that's the reason why those companies, because it's part of the value equation, where the time to result and the perceived likelihood of finding a good movie is very high. And they even have their own Netflix like bloody originals now. So it's not even just the movies that are cranking out. They're able to make their own stuff.
Of course.
Which is crazy. Like, and that's why that stuff is so powerful. But going back to what I was saying before, his first book, which was the Offers book, he proved that a Grand Slam offer, that's why he offered the book pretty much completely for free. He basically, I think, covered the shipping or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, he pretty much like gave that book away for free, and having all of the offers strategically like designed right. And it was like amazing because he basically proved the concepts like in the book for a Grand Slam offer, all within and having a whole bunch of different bonuses and a whole bunch of other things that basically just sweeten the deal using the value equation. And then after that, he then had the Leads book launch, and in that one he then used every single of the kind of 11 tactics of how you can kind of get leads to promote the book, and he managed to make it the most massive amount of people ever to literally be at this kind of virtual event, pretty much, because he had over 500,000 leads, pretty much, all just turn up on the live stream or whatever, which is insane. And then obviously with this one, because it was the more making money one, that's the reason why it was a bit more kind of centralized on just making sure that he proves that with the strategic offers in the money models, you can get people to spend a whole bunch more, because there would be some people who paid maybe the $30 for one book, but then there would also be people who would then, he had this perfect kind of transition between offers, and then he created even more offers like the one that you're seeing on screen there, where you can get that for, in Australian dollars, it's about $9,000, but it's basically an entire system of everything he's collected over the last 10 years in sort of business. And it's the full system, and even the launch playbook of how he launches his massive events like this in order to get the results that he does, breaking world records.
Dude, he's been advertising the shit out of this, though.
Yeah.
Every single YouTube ad that I've seen is all this guy talking about his
money models.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's all funneling into this little channel right
here.
Oh,
exactly. And that's how he proved it as well, because with the ads that he was running for this book, he spent, I think it was $4 million on ads, right? But he still managed to get back about 7 million. But he didn't just pay that 4 million pretty much all in this one kind of installment. It was just in small kind of 10, 20 grand increments. But then when he spent that 20 grand, he would then get 60 back. And that's how he was kind of proving that the systems work as well within the money models. The fact that you can just keep the sort of LV to sort of CAC ratio, which is your lifetime value and your cost to acquire a customer as a lead. You keep that at a higher ratio, so it's at least a 3-to-1, which means that every dollar you put in, you get $3 back.
Yes,
and that's the most important sort of metric, pretty much, in business for being able to acquire and keep people for the long term, to retain them.
Damn. Carl, you absolutely love this stuff, and I it's so fair. It's fair because it's interesting. It's at the same time, I can appreciate it because I can appreciate business, I guess. But I don't know enough about it. But this is what I'm trying to say. How you love this podcast just as much as I do. What's your personal long-term vision of this podcast, and does it include anything like this?
Because the interesting thing is, and you know me, right? I pretty much know almost as much as you could possibly know about like trying to monetize and make sure that you sort of give people as much value as you possibly can for the amount like they're spending and all that. And that's like the goals that I have for this podcast, where I don't really care too much about like really like making like a mozza from it. I just want to like improve like the podcast to the point where we get such good like kind of like I guess feedback that it's like really impressive, like where brands will literally just be reaching out to us because they're like kind of going, this is like very real and very authentic, and we would love to partner with you guys. And that puts then the onus on them, where we can accept or reject, where like we're not even looking for brands, they're literally coming to us because we've built something that is like actually extremely like rare, like where it's actually a really authentic kind of podcast and it's got an authentic audience, and everything is really just designed and kind of made in a way where it's just trying to create the best stuff for the audience and trying to give them the most amount of value from like production, you know, like audio and that will obviously come. But then at the end of the day, it'll be the stuff, the actual content itself, like irregardless of just the quality of like the resolution, it'll be the stuff that they'll be listening to, that they'll come here to like maybe learn, that will be like the biggest like outlier. And hopefully we can give them like obviously entertainment, but the biggest thing is we want to be able to like open their eyes and be able to kind of take them out of the chaotic world that be, where obviously even as Michael was talking about in one of the episodes about the fact that the pretty much all the news that you like have, it's just an echo chamber, and you have to filter very sort of critically, and then also like make sure that you think critically as well. And that's how you kind of defend yourself from all of the misinformation that's sort of out there. And that's very important. Hopefully we can open people's eyes to maybe stuff and sort of get them to have a moment of reflection from the things that we say like on this podcast, and be like, I never thought about it like that. And that's such an amazing thing to be able to do for people, to be able to kind of give them something that they never thought about sort of previously, and it was maybe a strongly held belief that they sort of go, wow, like I don't really think that that's the case. And hopefully like if you do that for enough people, like at the end of the day, like that's pretty much all I really care about at the end of the day. Like it's just amazing to be able to like help people. And that's even the reason why I spent about $1,000 sort of giving away like 15 books like of Alex Hormozi's. Like, and I can tell you now, I was almost considering spending the 10 grand like to give away 200 books.
Bro, he's on the money model to you.
Yeah, bro. I know. But yeah, I was thinking about it, but then I was like, oh, I do it.
10 grand's a lot of money.
I do it, like, but only if I chucked it on the buddy business card. But it's got to be the business credit card though, and I have a debit card because I was kind of like, I want to get the Qantas points. if I'm gonna chuck it on.
Qantas just announced that they're like cutting a whole bunch of Qantas points. People's Qantas points aren't worth shit anymore.
Really?
Look it up. Yeah, I don't know how legit that is, but it only just came out.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I did hear about it. To be fair,
yeah, just type in like Qantas points news. It'll come up. This was big stuff. Just type in Qantas points, like the frequent flyers or whatever, because a plane didn't go down, and you got to spell Qantas correctly. Qantas points new. Yeah, just hit the first one. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the value of your yeah, here we go. The AI overview, always doing what we need it to do.
Yeah.
Qantas is devaluing its frequent flyer points, making it more expensive to redeem them for flights and upgrades. This change, which affects both Qantas and Jetstar, involves an increase in the number of points required for classic reward seats, particularly for business and first class redemptions. The changes took effect on August 5th. Yeah, so a week ago.
Damn.
Yeah, and literally they just announced it. And that was it. There was no consideration. It was just on August 5th. They were like, "Boop." I don't even know if the market necessarily knew about it. But
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it sucks. But what are we gonna do?
No, exactly. But yeah, that's crazy though. But yeah, it was funny.
As you were talking about informing people, maybe people didn't know about that. And I wish we could sit here and tell people, hey, you've got until June next year, next financial year, to redeem your Qantas points before they get halved in value or whatever's going on over here. But no, they just immediately acted upon it, and now everyone's Qantas points are now worth less.
It's crazy, like the fact that you can, because this is the problem, right? And even just having a loyal customer base, imagine literally building up a loyal customer base and all that, and then you literally just tell them, oh yeah, all these points that you've accrued for being loyal to us over the years, yeah, they're basically worth nothing now.
It's
terrible.
Literally the exact opposite of the money model stuff that you're talking about, where you're providing value and providing proof, and exactly, you got to reward the people
loyalty.
Who have been loyal to your service.
Yeah, and that's
especially today.
100%, and that's one of the best sort of points that you've sort of come up with sort of there, and it's a great insight, because related to that is American Express, one of the best sort of marketing kind of ploys that they implemented in their business is when you buy one of their cards, I think, because I'm not really too versed on the American Express cards, but I know that you can get the platinum, which is your main one.
Yep.
It's the silver kind of metal card or something.
Okay.
But yeah, on all their cards, I'm pretty sure you get, because it's such a valuable card, you literally get the little incision into the card saying how long you've been a member for.
Okay.
And so you could be a member since maybe 2001. And it'll say that on the card, which means that whenever you kind of use it and you kind of talk with the American Express team, you get treated very differently.
Okay.
And it's very interesting, because, and that's the way that it needs to work, because realistically, at the end of the day, you should be giving priority kind of treatment. You still need to treat everyone very well, but you should probably be treating the customers who spend with you the most the best. And you can't really sort of, and this is the point that I'm sort of getting to, because you can't kind of treat everyone the same. At the end of the day, you really probably should be treating the people who show you the most loyalty, give them the best kind of possible sort of service that they probably do merit.
And you know what I was just thinking about too? Companies, big companies like Qantas, etc., name you huge companies, right, in Australia and the US. It feels like they never have good news for us. It's always a data leak. It's always, we're cutting this program. All this news just about the corporate world just getting worse, right? And there's never any good news about it. Qantas could come out and they could go, look, we're increasing the value of your points. Imagine if they even if they were just increasing 10, 20%,
exactly.
An amount that wouldn't cost them too much money, right? But even if they were just increasing the value of it 5% or just lowering costs on those Qantas frequent flyer points, right? They were just, because there's a fee to use the points, right? And that's what's going up in particular in this case. Imagine if they just reduced that by 20. The news coverage would hopefully say, right, that look, Qantas are doing this great thing. People would be like, yes, this is great. And Qantas is such a pivotal part of Australia and Australia's image, our main airline, which has a pretty good reputation among airlines internationally, right? It's such a pivotal part of our culture and our system
100%.
that function and the and the positive energy coming out of that company impacts all of us. And if all the news coming out of giant companies like Telstra and Optus and Medicare that we've talked about on previous shows, and you know, now what we're talking about today, if it's just bad news, you're going to end up in a bad spot in society. And I think 100%. even when the good news comes, the news doesn't report it either. So that's a big issue as well. But it also just makes you think, like, are they doing this on purpose? Are they trying to get us down on purpose?
Yeah.
Because like, it just sort of feels like that sometimes. But I feel like, you know, in a world where, like, look at us right now, where we obviously have, you know, forms of free speech. We have Alex Hormozi on the chat for freaking 9 hours or whatever doing his book launch. So, you know, there is good things out there, but there's also a lot of negativity too, especially surrounding big companies.
100%. Like, and that's one of the craziest things about Alex Hormozi, and the reason why I do love the stuff that he does, because his like main mission that he does talk about a lot, but I assume that probably someone who's seen not too much of him, you don't really know like his actual kind of main, like very simple kind of like idea of why he does this.
Okay.
And the main reason why he kind of does all this stuff is because he just legitimately wants to make business education accessible to everyone. And it doesn't matter whether you're like already got a business that's like big, small, like medium, or you don't even have one at all, but you kind of want to start one. He just wants to equip you with the ability to be able to like execute on that dream that you want. And because that's what like kind of happened for him, and he spent a whole bunch of money throughout his like whole life just educating himself and acquiring sort of skills in order to be able to achieve the stuff that he needed to be able to achieve. Like he's probably had like around like 30-40 different mentors for a whole bunch of like the ventures that he's taken. And the reason why that's so powerful, and honestly, it is pretty hard to find mentors like that are in great positions like he has found. But the reason why they're so powerful is because if you imagine, like this is the kind of best way of thinking about it. A mentor is basically, if the best way of like phrasing it is that a mentor sort of to you who you're interacting with is basically the equivalent of the future you who accomplished like the whatever you're trying to do, like whether it's building a business or whatever. It's almost like you talking to your future self. They tell you all the stuff that you screwed up like on the way up, and then you go, I think I know best. Yeah. Like, but it's you literally kind of telling yourself like all of the kind of potholes that you'll face like along the journey and what you kind of need to do. That's what the mentor is. It's literally like the equivalent of you who's already accomplished in the top of the field, being able to tell you who's just starting now, this is all the stuff that you need to do in order to make sure that you like get onto the right path. And that's kind of like the best like analogy that I heard like for what a mentor is. It's pretty much just someone who's like ahead of you, and you can almost the best way to think about it is it's almost like think about it as you're in their position and it's you giving yourself like advice.
I understand what you mean.
To the point of like where you're like, oh, because it's also a good frame to have because it makes you sort of like put yourself in sort of their shoes of like making sure that you feel like it's possible as well, because you imagine that like, oh, the advice that I'm sort of getting now, like I just need to sort of take it and just run with it and make sure that I just like execute on it, because obviously this person knows like what they're doing and how to like make sure, because it's even just the small things. Like Alex Hormozi talked about this before, where like when he got like a mentor and he flew across the country in order to get like a mentor for opening gyms, he like went to this guy, and it was so interesting because like when he went to this kind of like really expensive, I think it was like 10 grand or something. Like he went to this like kind of like seminar or whatever, and it was all of the small stuff before he even started that saved him so much money. Like that 10 grand saved him almost like $250,000 because they told him every sort of thing that he possibly needed to know when he was there, because he was thinking about, he was saying to him, so I'm going to get this 500 square foot place. And they were like, oh, no, don't get over this amount of space. Okay. And then he was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then they were like, and then he was like, oh, well, I'm going to get this equipment. And because he obviously loved to train, right? So he went to go to get the best state of the art, like really expensive equipment. But then they were like, no, you can get that same stuff through here, through this deal, through this manufacturer that we know. And then he did that, saved like a lot of money on that, because machines like the ones he told you about are very expensive, especially those bikes. Yeah. Like that's almost like $5,000 a pop. Like for some of those bikes and like bloody Stairmaster and all that. But yeah, that's the big one where like he managed to save so much by just positioning himself in the right spot. And it's going to be hard like for everyone to find that sort of person who might be able to do that for you. But the outsized returns that you get on that sort of stuff, and that's why I don't mind paying for like information, where maybe some people, they just don't really have the same kind of like worldview as I see it, but I will always sort of pay for the skills and the information because I know my work ethic, and I know that you have the same kind of work ethic. And if you just pay for this like information to be able to execute on something that you like want to do, you'll be able to work it out. And the outsized returns that you manage to get from like just paying this fee now, it might be a really expensive fee now, but you'll make up for it within those 10 years. Absolutely. Like, and it's the equivalent of buying like maybe that information he's got there for that he has sold that all that information that's a part of like this system here, like all this stuff together. If you were to sell that, because he's sold all that type of information and he's actually made it better over the years. He's sold that information previously, even as all separate things to business owners, like which is his gym launch, which is his licensed gym model about how he scaled his business so quickly. All his gym locations, where he went to one location. I think he had one location, then he went to like 10 within a year or something. And yeah, and so that's the reason why his sort of money models that he was using in those gyms were so powerful. That's how he was able to scale so quickly. Okay. And he sort of sold, like if you were to sell all that information like that he has there, it's like he's already sold it to people, and that's the proof. He's already sold this and licensed this information, this type of model for like $100,000. And he was selling this information. This is how powerful his money models are, and all the stuff and the information that he's collected. It's so powerful. He was able to sell the gym launch package to people for like $41,000, and most business owners were like literally in debt. Like they weren't even making enough to be able to afford his program. But because of all the proof, these people, even though they knew they couldn't afford it, they literally just managed to find a way to spend the money in order to pay for it. So that, and his system was so effective that they literally made the money back within like literally like 2 months. And then beyond that, they made the money back that they spent, and then more. And then it wasn't even just the fact that they like spent the 41,000, got it back very soon. They then 10x their revenue, like with his system. And that's how powerful this sort of stuff is. It's ridiculous.
That is insane. It's very complex though, and it's not necessarily super complex in terms that it's hard to understand, but it's very niche. You know what I mean? Like even for content on this pod, it's kind of like the whole point is that it's not really niche, and we could talk about anything. You know, that's why like when we talk about doing the social media and stuff, and you're always telling me we have to have a niche, we have to have like 3 or 4 things that we have like set topics around. I'm very against that because I want it to just be naturally whatever the guest wants to talk about and whatever sort of comes up free flowing in the conversation. And yes, I have things that I love to talk about, and you mentioned MMA as one of them, which we might get into in just a second.
Exactly.
But you know, it's one of those ones where I don't want to restrict or limit the conversation in any way, and that's why I don't have any notes anymore. And I think that's helped. I really think it's helped not having any notes, because the notes kind of they give me a timeline for the conversation too. They get me thinking about, okay, we're going to talk about this, then we're going to talk about that, then we're going to talk about this. Where in actual fact, when I'm having the conversation, things develop off the side of that, which are far more interesting and I'm far more invested in than stuff I wrote down 2 days ago. Right. So, you know, but that's why so many of these lessons, business lessons, life lessons, lessons that we talk about and stories that we share on this podcast are so applicable and can teach you so much and have so much cross compatibility across all the sectors in your life, right? So no, it's good stuff. Anyway, speaking of which, Hamzat or DDP?
Oh, jeez.
What are you thinking, Carl? Hamzat or DDP? Where it goes down in like 2 hours.
Bro, it's got to be Drakus by Piano. Nah, it'll literally be Drakus by accident. Yeah. Like I reckon that he might win by accidentally like injuring Hamzat somehow. I'm not kidding. Like, but have you actually seen that fight from? Because did Drakus Duplessis, did he used to fight in Pride?
No,
I'm sure he, because I saw him fighting somewhere else.
Yeah. He fought in like a regional scene, South African championship, and he was a champion over there.
Yeah,
but he lost over there too.
Yeah, he did. But like the funniest thing is, he actually managed to beat someone by injuring them accidentally. And so, like, people literally were clipping that and reposting it, being like, Drakus Duplessis by accident.
No, well, he has such an awkward fighting style, and like,
but he's good.
He is good. He's the champ for a reason. Like, he 100%. Dominated Sean Strickland. He finished Izzy. You know, he's the real champ right now, and he wants the hardest challenge, which is Hamzat Chimaev. And we'll see if I think it's just the tale of the classic DDP fight. If it goes into the later round, DDP's gonna win.
Looking good.
If Hamzat can finish him in the first or second round by like just Chechnyan wrestling, right? Then I think he'll get it done. You know. What I think, the real question is, the fight comes down to one thing: can Drakus survive Chimaev's early onslaught? Because if the answer is yes, he can't survive it, then Drakus probably wins on the decision, right? And he actually might even get the finish on Hamzat in the 4th or 5th round, right? But that initial burst from Hamzat Chimaev is a lot. We saw it, but in the Kamaru Usman fight, this is what's most telling, right? Because, okay, let's look at 2 fights. Let's look at the Kamaru Usman fight, and we'll look at the Robert Whittaker fight. These are both opponents of Chimaev, right? In the Robert Whittaker fight, Chimaev blitzes him in the first round, ends up getting the finish, breaks Whittaker's neck in like, you know, with 45 seconds left in the round, right? Kamaru Usman does the same sort of strategy in the first round, dives for his legs, gets him in a deep choke. Kamaru Usman manages to like slam him back, get out of it, right? He only just got out of it. He almost got finished.
He did.
Anyway, 2nd and 3rd round, it's a stand-up fight, and Kamaru like almost won. You know? Like he ended it, like it was a close fight in the end, and if it was going 5 rounds, you could have seen Kamaru Usman getting the finish because you know, Chimaev was gassing out, right? So if you look at those 2 fights, you go, okay, that's exactly what could happen here today. He could get Drakus in a bad position and finish him, or he could lose on the judges' scorecards or by finishing in later rounds.
Because it's very interesting because, like, because there's so much momentum and kind of, you know, like talk of the town about Chimaev, there's almost like a certain like aura, and you talk about like the fact that, like, you know, it's similar to the Dagestani wrestlers, right? Where they say I heard it from buddy Dan Hooker, and he said like, the myth is bigger than the man. And that's why he wasn't really scared when he was like calling out buddy Islam. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll fight Islam. And he gets destroyed.
Yeah. He ate his words, bro.
Yeah, he did.
Dude, honestly, it's actually crazy that his arm didn't break when he was in that Kimura. It was raw.
Oh,
anyway.
He screamed, didn't he? Yeah.
Dan Hooker's so funny for this. Maybe we can even try and pull this up. Dan Hooker, right, is in like this terribly deep Kimura, which is a position where your arm is essentially getting twisted behind your back and someone's on top of you doing it. And Islam Makhachev in this case has got his feet behind the head of Dan Hooker and is pulling on this arm to the point where Hooker lets out this like just absolutely ghastly scream. The ref stops the fight, and then Dan Hooker gets up and was like, I didn't tap. Hold on, have a look. That wasn't the end. Yeah, see when he steps over his head like this?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's when you can really get the leverage, and you can see him cranking on his arm there. Hold on, give that full screen so the audience can see exactly what we're talking about. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah. Anywho. But Chimaev could go out there and do that to Duplessis today. Like he could. He has great wrestling. He has great submission skills.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, okay. That's all we got for today, I guess. Anything else, Carl? Anything else you want to say while you're on?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, from the big one is I've still probably got around like 12 of those books that I'd like to be able to sort of give away to people. And I mean, I could like kind of get some of them myself and be able to hand them out.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'd say is the best way is I've got a code that's good for like literally a whole year, and I'll just be able to send them to people.
Well, do we want to put that in the link of this episode or something like that in the description for people at home?
Yeah,
it's like because we can just say, in the description we'll just have like today Ethan and Carl talk about this money model stuff and UFC. What is it? UFC 319 something like 3?
Yes, it is
319.
Yeah, 319.
And then below we'll just have, if you want to learn more about money models, click here, and then it'll just be that link, right? So
yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, the crazy thing is, even just with like the UFC for this 319 Drakus against Freddy Kamza, it's so interesting because you sort of go like, it's really hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, this is a tough. Well, that's the thing, because we don't know that exact scenario that I broke down.
Yeah,
we don't know that answer to the question. Like, can Drakus survive with a 185-pound Chimaev?
Yeah, because it's interesting because you sort of go like, surely, like, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, surely Kamza just runs through him, but like, I still think that Drakus even has enough about him to the point where like, I don't think he's gonna be that easy to like, kind of like Chimaev was able to take down Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker took down Drakus like relatively easily. But I guess Drakus has also been doing some very specific wrestling kind of like, I guess, like defense and all that. But because he has a good gas tank on him as well, Drakus, I think that even if he gets pinned down like quite well by Kamza, he'll probably be able to get up like pretty, like with not as much like kind of like struggle as maybe some other, I reckon, people, because Drakus is massive for 185.
Yeah,
like he's just huge. Like, yeah, it is interesting. I actually wanted to ask you, how do you feel about Kamzat's striking? Because it does seem that he does have a pretty good like kind of level of striking, but maybe not like. Yeah, but maybe not like at the very elite level.
I think, to be honest, I think Hamzat's striking in this fight doesn't matter. Because let's say Hamzat had better striking than DDP. He's not going to use the striking, I don't think, in the first couple of rounds. He's probably going to try and take him down and get a finish, right? Because he knows that's probably his best way. Or at least dominate the fight on the ground. Because if he's dominating the fight on the ground, Hamzat won't get as tired, right? So if he gets forced to stand up and strike, then he's going to be tired, right? If Hamzat is being forced to stand up and strike and he's not getting those takedowns, he's going to be in a bad position. So even if he did have better stand up, which I don't think he does, it's hard to say because DDP's stand up is so unorthodox and strange that you can't say and yes, look at the opponents he's beaten. He's beaten Israel Adesanya, one of the best strikers in the middleweight division, right? And sometimes he outstruck him, but it wasn't because he had better technique or better it was just he's so unorthodox and strange and that he's just such a problem for everyone in the octagon. Like even Sean Strickland, you could argue that Sean Strickland has better technical striking than DDP. I would say that for sure. He has very, very good defense, very good head movement, etc. And DDP just looks like when you watch him fight, it's kind of like you're watching what's going on? No. What's the backyard street beefs? Street beefs? Yeah, I feel like watching Duplessis is like watching street beef sometimes. Like someone's literally just running at someone. Yeah, exactly. Like these crazy guys on street beef. And bro, that's what we're gonna see today against Hamzat Chimaev. Okay, my official prediction for Hamzat Chimaev and DDP is it'll look like a street beefs fight that you saw off the internet, but DDP will win by decision because Hamzat will gas out in the 4th and 5th round. That's
you heard it here first.
All right.
So easy.
See you, everyone.